So hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. As you must be aware that we are in the middle of a lecture series on Evidence Act, and currently we are discussing chapter 2 of Evidence Act, which deals with the relevancy of fact. Our today's topic is definition of admission and confession and differences between them. So we will see the definition of admission and confession one by one, and then we will see the differences. So starting with the admission. Admission is given under section 17. So it states an admission is a statement, oral or documentary or contained in electronic form, which suggests any inference as to any fact in issue or relevant fact, and which is made by any of the persons and under the circumstances hereinafter mentioned. So admission is a statement in oral or documentary form. So as you must be aware that statement in oral or documentary form is the definition of the evidence. So evidence under the Evidence Act means a statement in oral or documentary form. So we can clearly say that admission is an evidence. So admission is an evidence which suggests any inference, which suggests any conclusion as to fact in issue or relevant fact. So some conclusion must be drawn out of the fact in issue or relevant fact, and which is made by any person under the act. So any person given under the act makes the admission. The statement of a person where he acknowledges his liability or some fact in issue or relevant fact asserted by opponent. So admission is a statement where a person acknowledges his liability, accepts his liability, and some fact asserted by the opponent. Any fact asserted by the opponent is accepted by the person, then it would be said to be admission. So admission suggests some inferences of existence or non-existence of certain fact. So some inferences are drawn from the fact in issue or relevant fact. In Nagin Das Ramdas versus Dalpat Ram Icharam, the Supreme Court explained the requirement of admission that an admission must be clear and unambiguous and shall be considered best proof for proving any fact in issue or relevant fact. Informal admission in day-to-day life helps in bringing the fact before the court. So the Supreme Court explained that the admission must be clear and unambiguous. It must be clear and it is considered to be the best proof for proving any fact in issue or relevant fact. So informal admission in day-to-day life helps in bringing the fact to the court. So it helps in bringing the fact, not in proving those facts. It just brings the fact. So guys, if you want to learn admission in full detail, you can visit my channel and watch my previous video. So let's move on to the next slide. Now let's talk about confession. Definition of admission also applies to confession, and confession is under the head of admission. So confession is not a distinct admission, not a distinct thing given under the Indian Evidence Act. Confession is also a type of admission where a person accepts his guilt. A guilt is accepted by a person, then it is known as confession. So it is with regard to a criminal act and where the full liability of a person, full guilt of a person is accepted. Legislature did not want to differentiate between them. So legislature did not want to differentiate between them. So confession is given under the head of admission. Confession is a statement made by a person charged with certain offense which gives the inference of existence or non-existence of certain fact in issue or relevant fact. Here the person admits certain criminal act done by him. So you can see that definition of confession is similar to the definition of admission, and here also an inference is made for the certain fact in issue or relevant fact, but here the guilt is accepted by the person. In admission, the person had accepted a certain liability, but the whole guilt was not accepted by him. But here in confession, the whole guilt is accepted by the person. In Pakala Narayan Swamy versus Emperor, it was held confession must be admitted in context to offense or substantial facts which inaugurates the offense. Admission of serious wrongdoing which is incriminating is not a confession. So confession must be related to inauguration of offense. It should not be of fully accepting the guilt, fully of accepting the offense made. So it must be related to a substantial fact which inaugurates the offense, which inaugurates the criminal act done. So it should not be a serious wrongdoing which incriminates a person. So let's move on to the next slide and see the differences between admission and confession. Admission are genus and confession are species. So admission are genus, admission are the big group, and confession is a part of that group. Confession comes under the head of admission. The second point says admission though against the interest of the maker, but admission can be made by or on behalf of any person making them only under certain condition given in section 21. So admission can be made only under certain condition given under section 21, and confession is admission of guilt in reference of a crime and therefore always goes against the interest of the maker. So confession always goes against the interest of the maker, whereas admission goes against the interest of the maker under the condition given under section 21. The third point says admission however are relevant irrespective of fact, whether made to any person or made under any inducement. So admission whether made under any inducement or threat is relevant, whereas the confession must be voluntarily made. It must not be made under any threat or inducement. A confession made under inducement, threat or promise are not relevant, are irrelevant under section 24. Similarly, a confession made to a police officer and made during the police custody cannot be proved against the accused. So the fourth point says admission are not conclusive proof of the fact admitted but act as a estoppel against the maker. So admission are not the conclusive proof of the fact, they are just an estoppel, they are just admitting some fact, some liability, whereas confession made voluntarily are always conclusive proof of the fact. So that fact need not to be proved, they are conclusive proof of the fact, and the accused may be convicted on the basis of the same. Under the fifth point, admission made by one defendant cannot be considered against the co-defendant in same suit or proceeding, as they do not have same interest. So if two persons are party to a suit or more than two persons are party to a suit, so if one person makes the admission, that does not go against the other person, other co-accused or other co-defendant or co-plaintiff, whereas confession made by one accused can be considered against a co-accused provided both are jointly tried for the same offence. If they are jointly tried for the same offence, then confession of one co-accused can go against the other co-accused. Now the last point says admission can be made by agent of the party or various other person under the act. So admission can be made by the party of the by the agent of the party or by any other representative of the party, whereas confession can be made only by the party who is being tried. So thank you guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.